Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our webinar today. My name is Isabel. In a few minutes, I will be extending a warm welcome to Edgar. He has prepared the topic Importance and the Benefits of the Digital Personal File for you today. Before we start, I have a little more information for you. You will be muted during the webinar, but are welcome to ask questions about your GoToWebinar question box at any time. After the webinar, we will of course take the time and answer them. You also hardly need to take notes. You will receive the training materials relatively promptly. And now the moment we have been waiting for. Edgar, I'll hand over to you now.
Thank you, and a warm welcome from me as well. Today, I will show you how you can streamline your HR processes with the digital personnel file with ELO. So, which topics will we cover today? First of all, we'll have a look at the HR processes in your company or the HR processes which every company has. Then we'll have a look at documents and information used in a personnel file, typically. After this, we will talk about the things you have to consider when you're working with digital personnel files and digital HR processes in your company. Then we'll have a live demo where we'll have a look at a digital personnel file with ELO. Then the benefits of the digital personnel file with ELO. Success stories and what our customers say, and then we have time for questions and answers. And if you have a question during the webinar, then just type it in your question box. We will answer them at the end. So then let's start with HR processes in your company. So every company has some HR processes. Beginning with the recruiting process, where you find a new employee. Then when you have found a new employee and hired him or her, you have to start with some onboarding. So they have to get a badge, they have to get some things when they start in your company. And then the next step is trainings, so that they know what they can do in the company. Maybe you have some e-learnings as well, or you make face-to-face trainings. Then you have to do workforce planning. So you have to plan what to do with the new employee. During the employment, maybe you make performance management or talent management, or you have some benefits which you have to administrate as well. Then you have to do information management. So when something changes, an employee marries or moves, gets a new address, well, then you have to manage those information. And then you have to do the offboarding as well when the employee with which you have hired 20 years ago retires. So those are the typical HR processes in the company, from recruiting to onboarding, training, workforce planning, some management things, to the offboarding. And there you have to think of some things. When you don't do those things in the digital way, then it takes time. Maybe the performance, well, it doesn't get better when you don't do trainings, and you have to think of security issues as well, because we are dealing here with personal data, and security is a main topic in this case. Which brings us to the next topic, documents and information used in a personal file. So typically in a personal file, you have personal data, you have some documents, and you have some internal information as well. Personal data like a social security number, phone number, email address, date of birth, home address, school graduation, marital status, or bank account information, just for example. Then we have some documents. In the best case, you have the hiring documents in the personal file as well. Maybe some agreements, some emails, photos, certificates, contracts, and so on. And then we have the internal information which we use in the HR department, like notes or ratings for the employee, payroll information, and information about the compensation. Training records, internal or external complaints can be part of the internal information as well. And those are information which not everybody in the company should have access to. So they are personal data, personal information, or confidential information, which not even the employee himself should be able to see. And those are the things you have to consider. We have legal requirements when it comes to a digital personal file, because we have to comply with GDPR, deletion and retention periods, and so on. Next thing is security. We have to think of access control, because as I said, not everybody in the company should have access to the personal file of his or her colleague, or even of his own personal file. For this, we have permissions, and we have to be traceable, because we have to be able to say who has done what with the information, with the personal information stored in the digital personal file. And then it comes to automation, because when you use workflows, then you can automate things which you had to do the manual way earlier. So just think of onboarding. When you have a workflow which helps you during the onboarding process, then you can't forget some things. And when the workflow works this way, that it can go this or that direction, depending on the department where the new employee is sitting, then you don't even have to think of those things. Or access control, reusing information, and so on. And those things you can do with the business solution ELO HR Personnel File, where we will have a look at. So what we will see now is, first of all, the view for the HR department, how they can see the personal files. Then we'll have a look at an employee who wants to access his personal file, which he can with the business solution ELO HR Personnel File. And then we have another employee who wants to change some data but doesn't have access to ELO. So first of all, let's start with Elizabeth Saunders. She's the HR director in our company, and she has access to every personal file in the company and or in different companies. To get the information into ELO, there are different ways. So when you have existing personal files, then there's a way to import those information. Or when you use, for example, the business solution ELO HR Recruiting, then you can reuse the information, not reuse the information, but you can convert the information to the personal file. So the information which you have collected during the recruiting process is available in the personal file as well. And then we have some personal files in our company, which we have the digital way, and those can be accessed through the dashboard employees in our client. And when we click on the dashboard or on the button for the employees, then it brings us to the dashboard for the personal files. And what we see here are the digital personal files of the employees in our company, Contino Corp. And there we have 3, 9, 10 employees in different states. So one is in process. So the employee is just got just hired, and we didn't prepare him, so we didn't start onboarding with this employee. Then we have a prepared or 2 prepared employees, but they didn't start yet. And then we have the 6 which are employed. 0 are inactive, 1 is former staff, 0 are terminated, and 0 are retired. So we're a really young company. And if we just want to see the employee which is in process, then we have to deselect the other filters, and then we see that David Lee is in process. Well, and the others can be filtered as well. So we have here Alan Utberg and Michael Simpson. And here we have our employees in our company. So, but that's not all, because we have different companies here in our virtual environment. And if we want to see, for example, the personal files from our other company, then we can select this one, the Contilo AG. There we have 13 employees, and we can even see all personal files. This can be done with the permissions, because if you have an HR director for every company, then you can just permit them to see their own personal files, or the personal files from their own company in which they are working, and not the others. In my case, we can see all personal files, but will stay at Contilo Corp in our company. And if we want to see the details of our personal file, for example, let's see the details for Daniel Cooper. He's the CEO of the company. Then we can see here that we have some subfolders in here, and we have a form for the information as well. And this is the information stored in the digital personal file, for example, for Daniel Cooper. We have a cover sheet. We have Daniel Cooper, he's the CEO. It's his personal number, the company in which he's working, in which division, company management. Daniel Cooper is his own supervisor. That's cool. Bodo Kraft was his mentor. He's born on October 17th, 1973, and he works for Contilo Corp since 17 years, since 1st of February 2006. And he has 30 vacation days per year. Then we come to the personal information. So first name, last name, address, communication information, additional information, so gender, date of birth, so everything which is important for his employment and or for his personal information. Then we have the HR data, personal number, username, the status, cost center, and so on. Tax ID, social security number. Oh, here's his payment information. So those information which are important for the HR department. Then we have the department information, in which department is he working. And then we have the employment information for Daniel Cooper. Start date 1st of February. He didn't leave yet, but if he would like to leave, then he would have a notice period of 3 months at the end of the year. He's the CEO. So those information are stored in the digital personal file. In the content section, we have different contents in here as well. So let's take someone else. That's the personal file from Elizabeth Saunders. And here we have different information with the picture. So those are the personal files in the company. What can we do with those personal files? For example, we can, if the employee isn't onboarded yet, we could start the onboarding process. What's happening during the onboarding process depends on the company in which I'm working. So you can make, for example, automatic notification for the IT department that they need some equipment when they start to work, or if they get a car, then you have to send a notification to the facility management or something where they can organize the car. Or you can create a badge for the employee and so on. So during the onboarding process, you can prepare the employee, even can start e-learnings if you have some in your company, or if you use, for example, ELO Learning, our business solution for e-learnings. That's what you can do during the onboarding process. Our offboarding is the same, but the other way around. You then know what to collect from the employee. You then know which things you will get back, which users you have to delete, and so on. So offboarding the same as onboarding, the other way around, except the e-learnings, because they don't have to unlearn the things which they have learned. You can add a picture, for example, with a webcam or an existing picture. In this case, we have a picture. But as I saw earlier, Daniel Cooper doesn't have a picture, but I don't take one now. So you can add a picture, because this picture you can use for the badge, which you can create here as well. So you would just have to click on create badge. Don't have a picture, there will be no picture on it. Well, yes, we didn't find the picture. And then you can create the badge for the employee. And then you can even create some documents as well. You can define some templates for the HR department, which you then can use. For example, the full-time employment contract would be here, or notice of termination, or a sample contract in our case. And those things which you create here are part of the personnel file as well. So if we created a new document, then it would be in the content section of the personnel file, and then you can find it in this section, and it's filed securely, because not everyone has access to the personnel files in the company, only the HR department and nobody else. So that's the business solution for the HR department. But that's not all, because you can do some things as an employee with with your own personal file. So let's say we are Daniel Cooper, and I want to access my personal file, my own personal file. Due to the reason that I'm the CEO of the company, I could get access to the employees in my department as well. I can ask the HR department to get access to my personal file or the personal files of the employees. And when we do so, we don't get live access to our personal file, but we get a copy from our personal file with only those information which are important for me as an employee. So internal information or internal ratings wouldn't be part of the personal file which I want to access. To access the personal file, just open up my client and click on Access Personal File. And then I have a selection of my employees in the company, because I'm the CEO, but I want to access mine because I want to see what's in there. And then we have to provide a reason, because I want to check if my data are up to date. And then click OK. And then it goes to the HR department. They have to say, okay, you can have access to your personal file, or you can't. So this I can show you as well with Elizabeth Saunders, our HR director, and she should have gotten a new task. Not right now, yes. That Daniel Cooper requests access to his personal file, and I have to approve this. First of all, I have to accept the workflow, and then I have to approve it, and I can set some deadlines in here as well. For example, to delete the file after, let's say, 5 days. And then it will be deleted on the 15th of July. So he has 5 days time to have a look at his personnel file. And here we can set the security classification as well. So we don't want to use the classified documents, but the normal documents. Yeah, then we can approve it. And then Daniel Cooper, that's the wrong one, gets a task in here as well, that the access to his personal file is approved. Then he can access his personal file. And this is the only thing which is not confidential, his badge. Okay, and when I'm finished with my personal file, then I can withdraw the access to the file. And then I'm finished. And then Elizabeth Saunders will get the information that I have finished reading my information in my personal file. So that's how to access your personal file. You get a copy of your personal file with only those documents which are not classified, so the normal documents in here. If we didn't choose the normal but the classified as well, then we would see more documents in here. The other thing is, what can you do with employees who don't have access to ELO? For this, you can use the so-called Launchpad. So let's say I'm David Lee and I want to change my HR data because I have moved to a new address. I can use for this the Launchpad, where I could access my personal file as well. But I want to change my HR data, which can be done with this button. And the Launchpad is for users who don't have access to ELO, who don't have their own ELO users. But if you work with personal files, then maybe they should be able to change the data by themselves. So click on Change HR Data, and then we can see what we can change. I can change my contact information by myself, my address, bank details, my name, my religion, my marital status, my family, emergency contacts, and my tax-related data. So as I said, David Lee, he has moved. I want to change my address. To do so, I click on my address or your address. And then you can see that I'm David Lee. The reason is because I have moved. I have moved. What other reasons should I provide for changing my address? The change is active from the 1st of August, because then I really have moved, and I only moved to another house in the same road, just not to type in too many information. And then click OK. What's happening now is a workflow is started. HR department gets the information that David Lee wants to change his address. They can cross-check it if the information fits, if it's if everything is okay, and then they approve the change, and the change is active from 1st of August in his personal file. So you can't forget to change the data on a specific date. This is what ELO does for you. So let's have a look at our HR department in the task section. Here we have the change of the address, and then we can cross-check it again. Okay, yes, looks fine. We can ask David Lee if it's correct or something, and then we can approve it. And when we have approved it, then from the 1st of August, the new address is active in his personal file. So those are the things which you can do with ELO HR Personnel File. You have a dashboard for an overview for your employees in the company, where you can do some things, start onboarding, start offboarding, create documents, take a photo, and so on. and you can manage your data in ELO. So you can, for example, change data as HR department, and you have everything in one place. So with the personnel file, you have the documents. When you use ELO HR recruiting, then you even have the documents from the recruiting process with retention periods, deletion periods, traceability, and so on. So those are the benefits for the HR department. The benefits for the users are accessing their own personal file to check the data, but for security reasons, just a copy of the personal file and change the data by themselves, because changing data by myself, I can do with the client as well. And if I don't have a client, I can use the launchpad at the terminal somewhere in the company, where I then can change my data by myself. So the benefits of ELO HR Personnel File. Not only a dashboard which we can use for viewing relevant employee data, we can filter the employees by status. We can easily create payment plans and monitor liquidity flow with the payment information stored in ELO HR Personnel File. We can set the permissions to control access to employee data, because as I said, not everybody should have access to those information. We have a calendar mode, which gives you an overview of all deadlines, and we can create statistical evaluations with just a few clicks. For the employees, we have the launchpad and to change the data, and we can create an organizational chart with the business solution ELO HR Personnel File as well. And there's more. We can connect other business solutions to our business solution ELO HR Personnel File. For example, business solution ELO HR Recruiting for digital recruiting process in our company with the job portal. And when you hire a new candidate, or when you hire one candidate and he's a new employee, then his candidate's file is moved to his personal file, and those information are available as well. Or you can connect it to the business solution ELO contract, where you can manage the personal contracts which you create during the recruiting process, or when you change something, or when you make new agreements, for example. Then you can use the business solution ELO contract for this, where you don't miss any deadlines, because the business solution contract manages all your contracts in your company, not only the HR contracts, but others as well. And you can connect it to ELO HR Personnel File. You can connect business solution ELO Learning, that you start a learning path during the onboarding process. So new employee starts on, let's say, the 1st of August, and on the 2nd of August, he will get an information that he can now start his learning path, or if he wants to, he can start in July as well. So the business solution ELO Learning manages your e-learnings in your company, and you can create learning paths for new employees, which you can start automatically during the onboarding process. And last but not least, the business solution ELO Knowledge, which you can connect not only to HR Personnel File, but to the business solution ELO Learning as well. And then you can share your knowledge with others. You can share ideas, write articles, or ask some questions in the company. So knowledge management for your company. All those business solutions work together. You can connect them to have an all-in-one solution, and you have everything in one place. So how does it help our customers? We have some customers, we have many customers who use the business solution ELO HR Personnel File in their HR department. Some of them use it only or use ELO only to manage their personal files. Others manage the documents and other things like contracts or invoices in the company and use ELO HR Personnel File on top of it. Those are just 3 examples, one from Denmark, the Dansk Pharma IT, one from Hungary, which I can't read, and one from Switzerland, the Coop Mineralöl AG. And they all use ELO HR Personnel File for the personal files for their employees with self-service and accessing the personal files. If you want to get more information on our references, then you can have a look at our reference finder, which you can access on elo.com. If you want to get more information on the digital personal file, then you can download our white paper as well, which you can find on our website in our media center, where you can find the white papers. And if you want to find a business partner who can help you by with your personal files, then you can find him on our partner finder, elo.com, in the partners section. So that's it. Now it's time for your questions, which we don't have so far. So if you have any question, just type it in the questions box. If you don't have any questions, then I have done everything right. And well, I have done everything right. Looks like this. Then I say thank you for your attention, and last time for questions. Last chance for questions. No questions. Okay, so then thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Edgar, for this great presentation. I would like to tell you about our upcoming webinars in just a moment. Yes. As you can see, you can register via the following link on website elo.com/webseminar. Please keep in mind you can register up to 1 hour before the webinar starts. Thank you again for everyone who attended the webinar today. I wish you a great day. Until next time. Goodbye.